Everyone was shocked to hear that Wanguk had been killed. As they were talking, suddenly Wanguk appeared in front of them. They were all shocked to see him alive, and Joel ran towards him, hugging him tightly while crying, happy that he was alive. The one who had hurt him said, "How disappointing. I thought you would be scared. You should have at least screamed." Wanguk replied, "Do you think things are going to stay this way forever? Do you think you're in control of everything, that you won't get caught no matter what you do?" The other person responded, "I get it. I feel that way too. But you just wait. Hoban is going to call out. Now that you mention it, you two have been pretty close. I wonder if that will be a problem." He continued, "I have made up my mind, and I'm going to let you go." Wanguk, furious, charged towards him, but he was stopped. "You have a second chance at life thanks to Hoban," the man said. "You can go now and put in a good word for me with Hoban. Also, consider this your final warning. If you interfere with my work again, I will send you to meet your fate." He threatened to unalive her sister. Someone asked if there was a problem, and he replied, "There is no problem. Get Sky out of here." When asked if he wanted to kill him, he said, "I've decided not to. Doing such a thing might be detrimental to my plans." He added, "It's a good thing I was planning on getting rid of that container anyway." Gyol asked Wanguk where he had been. He replied, "That guy is really dangerous. Getting mixed up with him would put my life and my sister's life in danger. The best thing to do now is to make sure I have nothing to do with him. He's someone's toy who toys with other people's lives." Then he said, "Let's go home." But Gyol was still curious about his condition. Wanguk said, "My sister is more important to me than anyone else." As they were about to leave, Romy came in front of them and asked, "Why don't you eat with us before you go?" Wanguk said, "I have to tell her that those people might try something else. I have to at least tell her who he is." As he tried to say something, the man called out to Hoban in a high-pitched voice and said, "I am the guy you have to call out next." Wanguk thought, "What is this guy up to this time?" But Hoban said, "Time out." As they were discussing how his voice had changed, Hoban stood up and said, "I'll go ask him." As they chatted at the table, Hoban asked, "What is it that you want?" The man replied, "I have something that I want, but I also have something to give you." He said, "This is gift number 1," and handed over a bunch of papers. Hoban was shocked to see the papers, the same ones from earlier. The scene then shifts to a building where about $9 million are missing. The scene shifts back to Hoban and the man, where the man says, "It's the original copy of your mom's contract. You were taking on XJ Company because of this contract, right? Now you don't have to worry about it. The contract is void as long as you have your original one." He then congratulates him and says, "Now Songjun doesn't have anything that he can use against you." Hoban asks him if he was on Songjun's side, and the man replies, "You seem really shocked. I thought this was something you needed." But Hoban was surprised and wondered why he even gave it to him. The man says, "This is why we started fighting after all. Just take it. This is an opportunity. You shouldn't look a gift horse in the mouth." Hoban wonders if this is a trap set up by Songjun and whether he should trust the man or not. He then stops 244 and asks, "Does he know you're handing this contract over to me?" The man responds, "Of course he doesn't know." As all the friends lie on the floor, Hoban says that the contract is genuine. The seal is the same one that was used for his mom's copy. It's not legally binding if you only have a copy of it, and Songjun has nothing on him now, Hoban says. Jihyuk suggests, "You can call him out now if you want. If he had someone take out Yonu's dad, then he will be canceled immediately. Let's go big and get journalists involved." But Bami says, "You want to call him out, but what if this is a trap? What are we going to do if it turns out that he was waiting for us to call him out so he could accuse us of something? Can we even trust 244? Wanguk wonders about him. It's already pretty weird that he gave his number to a high schooler, but that's not important right now, he says. Maybe he's not a good fit for the company. How did you reach that conclusion? It's not like we've ever had a proper meeting anyway, so let's just go and ask him. But Hoban says, 244 said that he gave us the contract without Songjun knowing. What do you think is going to happen when he finds out about it? No matter what happens, we'll be making an enemy of 244, and they are last. So what do you even want to do? He adds, we can now live in peace. The scene then shifts to Wanguk and Gyol as he says, this is a complicated situation. I don't know what 244 is thinking, but should I tell Hobin about what he does for a living? The scene then shifts to the group of friends staring at a package. They ask, are you all serious that nobody ordered this package? Hobin says, this is probably from someone who left a comment saying they wanted me dead. Fat chance. He tells them to return it to the sender, but suddenly Gal opens it and says, there are a lot of gifts in it. Hobin wonders who they are from and realizes it's 244. He thinks, why is he even doing this? And says, don't think that we can be bought easily. The scene then shifts to a place where 244 is thinking, I wonder if they got my presents. I hope they like them. We might end up being on the same side after all. Anyway, he's quite late. This guy has no manners. He's finally getting in touch, even though he must have noticed the contract was gone ages ago. He wonders if he should pick up the call or not, and decides, I think I'll pick it up. As he stands in the bathroom, Songjun comes up behind him and says, let me guess. You wanted to contact me as soon as you saw the contract was missing, but you held out because you needed some time to think, right? You must have wondered why I gave the contract to Hobin and maybe even thought it was a misunderstanding. You probably wanted it back, but were feeling quite anxious at the same time. Am I right? He says, I wonder if you expected me to do this, as he slams his face into the bathroom sink and asks, why did you give him the contract? I thought you knew you might have some hold over me, but it goes both ways. I have a lot of things I can use against you too. The man replies, of course I know that. By the way, isn't it an interesting coincidence that we both have cauliflower ears? And he says, that reminds me of the fight we had before. You weren't able to say who won back then, as he grabs his neck. But someone outside says, someone is inside. Cheongjun responds, it sounds like I want to finish this conversation I'm having with Mr. Baek. Cheongjun is shocked to see Mr. Baek present there. As they sit at a table with a lot of food, Mr. Baek says, I heard what happened. He gave some kind of contract or something similar to someone else without your permission. He was following orders. But Mr. Baek responds by saying, I asked him to do that. Well, to be exact, he came up with the idea, and I gave him the go-ahead. Cheongjun asks, why would you do something like this? I don't see any point in dragging this out. I'll cut to the chase. How long are you going to carry on making videos on YouTube? Cheongjun replies, I don't understand what you mean. You've had a good run on that. Mr. Baek says, no, it's time to go into politics. He continues, look, do you want to drink this or not? You came here to Korea after being in the Yakuza, then got people to forgive you after you created the YouTube channel. Now look at you. You're an honest and hardworking man with 5 million subscribers. The time has come for you to pursue your dreams. It seems Cheongjun had no idea, and Mr. Baek says, you should have said something to him. Cheongjun responds, that's my mistake. You've been through a lot. I remember the first time I met you, you told me that the reason you wanted to be rich was to gain power. It's true, even the rich in this country have to bow down in front of power. But Mr. Baek is still congratulating him and says, now you won't just have money, you'll have power too. As Cheongjun thanks him, Mr. Baek says, don't thank me, things are only going to get harder from now on. Cheongjun then asks, I have a question. If I go into politics, what about what I'm doing now? Mr. Baek responds, I'm glad you asked. What you're doing now will definitely end up holding you back. I'm grateful for what you and the company have done for us, making money through the dark web, laundering the dirty money, and giving it to us so our party could use it. But you're going to wash your hands of it. A future assemblyman can't have a tainted past, can he? Cheongjun says, but then we need to find someone who can replace me. Mr. Baek replies, don't worry, I've found the right person for the job, V-Hit 244. He apologizes for keeping this a secret from Cheongjun for so long, saying, I was getting frustrated with how you two were fighting over that contract. Now is not the time to get involved in petty fights like that. You've been working hard to achieve your lifelong dream of gaining power, and I'm sure it will be difficult for you because you don't like Hobin. But Cheongjun responds, that's not the problem anymore. I no longer feel any resentment towards Hobin. 244 then says, "Should I call you Assemblyman Bake now?" Sometime later, Chungjin is seen wearing a suit as 244, and Mr. Baek discuss whether it's a good thing that he seems pleased with the plan. People will do anything to get power, they note. The scene then shifts to Hobin, who is using his mobile phone. He says, "All right, I've decided, I'm screwed," and then calls everyone asking, "Does anybody want to go to downtown with me? I'm too clueless about myself." Jiuk responds, "I'm going on a trip with my grandma this weekend," and adds, "She's my best friend." Hobin says, "You're acting like a doting grandson," and tells him to ask Taehun to go with him. Jiuk replies, "I already did, and he kicked me for it." As everyone refuses to go with him, Hobin wonders, "What should I do? I feel like something terrible will happen if I go by myself. I wish someone could come along with me and help me choose." He then approaches Gale and asks her if she is free this weekend. She says, "Yeah, I'm free. I don't have any plans." Hobin then says, "I need you to go downtown with me this weekend. It's going to be just the two of us." Sometime later, Gal is in her room thinking, what on earth is he thinking? A guy and a girl meeting on the weekend. It's clear that he wants to go on a date. What is he trying to do? Is he trying to make a pass at me? As she reads a book on how to stop talking like an old man, she says, "I have 3 days to go." As Hobin waits for Gal, everyone is shocked to see Hobin in public, since he's very famous. When Gol arrives, he says, "Shall we get going? I really need your help." She asks, "What are your plans for today, for the two of us?" As they walk beside the crowd, everyone wonders if Hobin is streaming or not. People call Grol pretty, and she thinks to herself, "These people are saying I'm pretty, but I guess he doesn't see me that way. They're saying I'm cute, but I guess I'm not cute to him." Hobin then says, "I'm going to arrange some candles in the shape of a heart in front of her house." There's nothing conventional about that, right? Is that a bad idea to ask a girl out? He asks Gal, and she replies, "Why on earth are you setting yourself up for failure?" She advises him, "Listen to me, keep it simple when you're asking someone out. Anything else might make the girl feel uncomfortable." She then asks, "What are you planning to do with the candles in front of the house?" He responds, "Wait a minute, it's going to make her not want to go out with him. Make sure that he gets rejected." As they arrive at the shopping mall, Gael says, "Please show me clothes that would look awful on a girl with a great body." The employee, confused, asks, "I'm sorry, but what do you mean?" Gail clarifies, "Clothes that would make you hate anyone who gave them to you as a gift. The kind of outfit that would make you feel angry the moment you see it." She adds, "I'm going to pick out a terrible gift on purpose and make her reject him. Then they'll stop liking each other, and they won't become a couple." The employee shows her a dress with duck prints, saying, "It sounds like a girl next door type might not suit this kind of style." Gol replies, "This is exactly what I wanted. This is perfect." She asks Hobin if he wants to take a look, and he says, "I'm sure you picked something nice. I told you I'd leave everything to you." Hobin thinks to himself, choosing a present is really hard. As Gol reminisces about her past, she changes her mind and says, "I'm sorry," which surprises the employee. Hobin asks, "Is it better to get a lot of presents?" Gol answers, "No. Even if you don't have presents, she'll still go out with you. Giving her a lot of presents will just make things uncomfortable for her." Hobin thanks her, saying, "I didn't think you'd try this hard to help me. I'll treat you to a meal if I end up dating her." Gael then thinks, "Am I coming down with a cold? It was silly of me to wear something that's not suited for the cold just to look nice for someone who's about to ask another girl out. It would be weird if I asked her out today." She feels dizzy, and Hobin catches her. She thanks him, and he apologizes, saying, "Sorry, I've been forgetful again." She asks, "What do you mean?" Hobin replies, "I should have given this to you sooner, but I forgot." He gives her a pair of shoes and asks, "Why did you wear heels today? You don't normally wear them." She responds, "I was wearing them because you kept wobbling in them." And he says, "I just thought of something funny. Your ankles are so thin, I think it would be easy to put you in a toe hold." As they sit beside the fountain, Gael says, "Be careful once you start dating. Don't hang out with other girls. Don't give them your clothes when they're cold. Those things might hurt her feelings. Just make sure that you only pay attention to her from now on." Hoban replies, "That's very good to hear." As she starts to fall, he asks, "Are you sure you're okay? I told you it would be better for you to go home." Gal insists, "I'm all right," but she's not. She's feeling very dizzy and blames it on the damn AC. As she collapses into Hoban's arms, Balmy suddenly appears in front of them, and Hoban is very surprised to see her. Hoban gets up and says, "You told me you were spending some quality time with your mom. Did you come over because you spotted me?" Balmy asks, "What were you doing?" He replies, "I was hanging out with Gaywell, but we were just about to go home since she's not feeling well." Balmy says, "I didn't know you were hanging out with her today. I thought you were alone." Hoban tries to explain, "I get it. I can see why you might be getting the wrong idea. It wasn't like I didn't tell you on purpose. I just didn't expect things to go like this. I really wasn't trying to keep it a secret." He says, "Hold on, I'll explain everything," but Balmy says, "Sorry, my mom's looking for me," and leaves. Hoban texts her, but she doesn't reply, which makes him concerned. He thinks, why isn't she replying to me? So, she just leaves and jumps to her own conclusions? Is she really going to make up her mind without listening to what I have to say? I guess she's angry at me right now. Why did she even agree to meet with me? Is it because I didn't tell her I was with Goal? I wasn't planning on not telling her. I was going to tell her after I gave her the present. I was going to explain everything right away, but she looked so angry when she left without listening and just told me to have fun instead. Is she playing hard to get? He looks at his phone and thinks, I need to know what I did wrong in order to apologize. Should I say sorry first, since I like her more than she likes me? He reflects, I could have at least told her in advance that I was going to hang out with Goal. Not only did I not tell her, but she also saw us together. If the situation had been reversed, I'd be angry too. Imagining the situation reversed made me realize it was worse than just a simple mistake. I would have gotten angry too if she had done what I did. Hoban concludes, I was in the wrong. Stop thinking about this and just apologize. How do I beg for forgiveness, though? I just need to be honest. As he sends the message, he says, she's not replying to me. She's not even reading the message. Should I give it some time and text her again later? That might sound too blunt for someone who messed up, but it's too late to send an emoji now. Did something happen to her? He wonders, she might be sleeping since it's 9 o'clock, but she usually sleeps around 11:30. Could this be the end of us? Did she block me? The scene shifts to Bomi, who's thinking, should I reply to him? Should I just ask him if he got home, like nothing happened? She ponders, am I being petty? Gull really did look sick. I wonder if he's still with her right now. Then again, would he really just hold anyone like it's no big deal? Even if I find it in me to let that slide, it still doesn't explain why he was hanging out with her. I always tell him who I'm meeting up with, but does he take that for granted because I like him more than he likes me? This is pissing me off, texting him over something like this. She decides I should reply to him. The scene then shifts to Jihyuk, who says, I can't believe it. I've never seen Hoban act like such a dumbass before. Taehoon asks, what's wrong with him? Jihyuk explains, he told me it's because of a girl he likes, Bomi. Hoban texted her to apologize about something, but she still hasn't replied to him. He's being dramatic because he thinks their relationship might be over before it even started. He picks up his phone and says, don't wait for her to text you. Why waste your time waiting for her to text when you're better than that? It's a waste of time for you guys. You get tons of messages from girls. Do you think all of us are as lucky as you? Try looking like us for a day, and then you'll see. As the bell rings on his phone, he checks it, hoping it's Bomi, but it's Gull. The scene then shifts to a staircase, where Bomi says, wow, Wongguk, long time no see. We were just chatting on the phone, so I was surprised when you told me you were in front of my house. He responds, I just thought of you while passing by. After chatting for a while, Bomi tries to leave, but Wongguk grabs her hand and asks her to stop. He says, don't reply to him. As she comes home, her mom asks her where she was, and she says she went outside for a bit to meet her friend. Then she asks her dad if he did something wrong, and he says, it does not matter. I am always ready to apologize. He continues, did I do something wrong? He adds, it's just best to be ready to say you're sorry. She then asks, "Why are your grades so bad these days?" She tells her to go get her phone. As she checks her phone, she asks, "Who's Hoban?" She says, "He's a cute and kind YouTuber." Her mom responds, "It must be because of him. He is the reason why you dropped your grades." She replies, "I really like him." Her dad says, "The kid who used to visit the hospital, he ended up trying it on with Bomi." They ask if she is dating him, and she says, "Yes, I do like him a lot." Her mom says, "Get good at studying and dating. Right now, you're not doing a good job at either. Dating someone when you are a student is a good experience to have, but studying is important. If you only focus on dating, you will end up like me, but we're happy together, honey." Her dad says, "I have taught you better than to focus on one thing. When I look at your scores on your next exam, they better not be as bad as they were this time. If they are, to hell with your relationship. I will make sure to send you to a school overseas." As they both talk about how they cannot talk often now, she says, "It will be hard for you to see me, but it's better than having to go overseas, at least." He tells her to go study, saying, "I will text you before I go to sleep." He adds, "If that's what your mom wants, there is nothing I can do." This is terrible. I was planning on telling her how I feel the next time I meet her, but let's look on the bright side. At least we are on good terms again. As someone calls for Gal, he says, "I guess you were expecting someone else." Her mood changes when she sees him, and he says, "It seems like you have not been feeling well lately, and I feel like things have not been going your way. Is something wrong?" He adds, "I am older than you, remember, so let me know if you want to get anything off your chest. Not to mention, giving advice is my specialty." She says, "I am fine," and he says, "That's good. I was worried for you as a coworker." She says, "Thanks for worrying about me. I am going back now. It's cold these days, so make sure you don't catch a cold." She says, "You know, sometimes I wonder whether things would have been different if I were the one in the spotlight. What if I was the star of the show and not the cameraman?" She asks, "What do you mean by that?" He replies, "I was just joking about something. That's all." As Hoban receives the package, he asks Bomi if he can borrow his phone for a second. He talks to 244, who says, "You should be fighting in your videos. Your videos are too peaceful now. I will help you change what your videos are about." He adds, "I hope you like my present." And he said, "I'll be looking forward to your next video." Everyone asked, "What is it? Who were you talking to just now?" It sounded like 244. They asked, "Did he give you that?" Hoban says, "I'm calling a meeting. I have to do this eventually anyway." The scene shifts to Chongjin, where he is serving people. A guest says, "It looks so good. I've never ordered omakase before." She adds, "You're really talented, and this may not be a new concept, but it wasn't exactly popular in this country until you came along." He's a skilled chef and a successful YouTuber. He's also handsome and has lived a scandal-free life. They say that if you don't know who Songjin is, you must be out of touch. She asks, "What do you think is the reason you're so loved?" He responds, "I just work hard, that's all. I have to make up for my past." After everyone appreciates each other's work, the cameraman squad thanks him for everything. He says, "No, thank you for letting me stream. My subscribers were curious when they heard I was going to be filmed for TV. They comment, 'You really care about your subscribers.'" He replies, "Okay, let's get ready to leave and make it quick. We don't want to interfere with his work." Someone says, "That was incredible. Are you going to vote for me if I run for office?" The chat agrees with him and says they will vote for him. The scene shifts to a dentist clinic where Assemblyman Taesun Ju is getting his teeth treated. He says, "No thanks, I like the greenness of youth." "You have a way with words. Anyway, did you send that to the boy named Hoban?" He replies, "Of course, I just got off a call with him. That boy named Hoban is a lot like Songjin, although their lives are very different. Now that I think about it, you never told me about his life. You're curious too, aren't you?" He says, "There isn't much to it. Should I tell you while you're getting your procedure done?" He says, "Yes, do tell me." He begins, "He is Korean-Japanese and was a promising judo athlete in Japan. They say he was really talented and met a good coach who used to compete for Japan. But he killed that coach for money and was taken to the police station. It really shocked the dental hygienist. Anyway, he was taken to the police station but was released without any charges. I don't know how he managed it, but he did. Then he either killed for money or for blood, because that was just the start of the story. He began by beating a notorious motorcycle gang in the Kanto region. That was probably how he entered that world. He became a member of a gang, but even though he was a member, he acted more like a mercenary, a machine that kills anyone as long as you pay him. That's how he made a name for himself. Then he got a nickname. It's common for gangsters. What was his nickname again? He got it because he became famous for smiling ear to ear when he killed people. They say it was Warai Oni, which translates to the smiling goblin in English. It's no wonder nobody could link his life as a gangster since he went by a nickname back then. But it seems the smiling goblin loved money too much. Did he get in trouble again? The dentist asks. He says, now that you mention it, this incident took place at this clinic too. He asks, can I borrow this for a second? She says, you cannot. He continues, he ended up killing the member who took a man. That's the last thing the smiling goblin did, as far as I know. Then he came to Korea. Soon after, he got himself into trouble in Korea and went to juvenile detention. There, he met someone who would later become an employee of the company he owns now, or something like that. By trouble, are you talking about the incident I'm aware of? He asks. That's right, he says. He completed his sentence and got released from prison. He started the channel straight away afterward. It seems like he had been planning to start one from the time he was in prison. He adds, that's very hot. Even if he had been using a nickname in Japan, he wouldn't have been able to hide all of his past. There was an outcry from the public. He says, that's why he faced it head on. He confessed that he used to be a member of the gang. But interestingly, he knew the public would rip him to shreds if they knew the whole truth, so he gave them a smaller piece of truth they could tear apart instead. Now, that's not the most interesting thing about the story. What was interesting were his subscribers' reactions. He claimed that he was part of the gang and that he regretted the things he did in the past. You can imagine how appealing that must have been for the public, and everyone started brainlessly supporting him. He's a genius. Even gangsters have successful channels these days. Of course, the crowd went wild over a former member. People have no idea what the Yakuza see while they work. No one has any idea how they kill people and get rid of the corpses. How do you think people would react if they found out about all that? What in the world is coming to when a man like that wants to enter politics? That would be disastrous for the country, he says. Mr. Bike asks, was it really okay for you to talk about the popular YouTuber's past in front of this woman? He replies, it should be fine, don't you think? The gift he gave Hoban is probably already calling him out. That information could be used to call him out. Songjun is now done for, as he is going to get called out by Hoban live in front of many people. The scene then shifts to Hoban, where he is going to call him out. In the end, 244 says that it is going very well. I was always uneasy about having something he could use against me since he laundered money through XJ Money for me. I was thinking about how I could get rid of him. Taesanju says, but you are taking care of that for me. Tell me what you're planning next. He replies, it's not funny. I tell you everything. And Taesanju says, if that's how you feel, then I will just wait and see. But he is not trying to drag me down easily. He says, I am telling you there is no chance of that happening. He does not know anything. He is probably only thinking about Hoban right now. He has no idea that I was the one who told Hoban to call him out and that we're cutting him loose. If that's the case, I am going now. I put the thing you requested in your car. Taesanju says, then I'm going to see you next time. That's how the story ends. Dreams only make you happy when they are still dreams. Chongjin thinks Hoban wants to end him. Does he think that's possible? I was surprised he found out about my past. But does he really think that he can end me just like that? All he has are a few pieces of paper without any evidence to back up anything he said. He's the one who will get backlash from it. He is still thinking like the child that he is. He says he expected this type of reaction, so he prepared video evidence. This is a video from a witness who will expose all the terrible things that Songjun did. I will show it to you now, he says as he starts the video. The video shows Hyun-Soo Lee, also known as the viral hook, starting by taking an oath. I solemnly swear that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. He says, damn, I really have to do this kind of stuff now. He continues, hi everyone, I used to be known as Viral Hook. I agreed to be in this video because I could help call Songjin out. I could not explain it by myself, as no one would believe me. I haven't been in front of a camera in ages. You know what I did, right? I screwed up. We hit him over by reporting all his videos so they were demonetized, and I also copied his channel. Some of you might know what happened with new tubers like Chorongi and Hoyoung Baek. Numerous successful YouTubers had to move to NewTube because channels copying them popped up, and Songjin was behind all of that. I worked like a dog for him, only for him to abandon me. I can still feel how hot the oil was when he poured it on me. I wonder if he will be watching this video. He is screwed now. Chungjin says, I told you that you cannot send me. His subscribers are not going to believe us, so they won't believe us no matter what we do. It's because it's Songjin we're talking about. I can give them files of evidence in terms of witnesses, but his subscribers are going to pretend they did not see anything or hear anything. He spent years building up a solid fan base. He has brainwashed his fans with his kind public image. His fan base is rock solid. We have to break through that support. That's how we can take him down. They will be making their moves now. The new tubers who specialize in call-out videos have started to take action. Everyone should see that and ask him if he hired all of them. He responds, why would I waste that amount of money on hiring all of them? They started doing this on their own because they will make money. Songjin says that public opinions about him have started to shift. The hard disk might bring me down. Going in front of the camera right now, when everybody is in a frenzy, will be disastrous. The sheeple part, as soon as it's on camera, I will just wait and see what happens for a little while longer. It still won't be too late to make a move. This incident will be very significant if I just sit tight and bide my time. Bomi said it has been getting a lot of traction online, but he asks, do you really think we can just take him down by doing this? Chungjin replies, they should be making a move by now. The people who stay the part are those behind the scenes. Public opinion. There's only one thing that they want, and that's someone famous down. It doesn't matter if the truth is there. They're not interested in the truth. It's just fun for them to take down famous people and enjoy it when those people suffer because of it. But I don't like that these people are going to help or cause. You should know it, since it happened to you. No matter how much you try to explain it away, those people will think it's just entertaining. People are talking about it all over. This is really starting to blow up. The best way to make sure everyone hears about it is by making sure it's all over online news. Now, his subscribers will think that maybe they were wrong about him. Cracks will start to form in his royal fan base, and all later fans will go against him. Songjin is angry and punches the TV in front of him. Because of you, news articles are appearing, like the sheeple who started their love for me. This has appeared just because of some online news. I can't believe this. People started believing the other side. I guess nothing for it. Back to breaking the silence. But for that, I'm going to take care of the news first. What happened on YouTube? The Viral Hook called you out, didn't he? 244 says, glad you asked to meet. I was planning on asking you to meet anyway. Of course I will help. What's your biggest problem right now? Online stories, online news. I already thought of what I'm going to live stream about. I want to muzzle the news reports before going in front of the camera. Chungjun says, that's easy. I have experience doing that for assemblymen. I will leave him to deal with the news. The public will come back to my side once I start live streaming. The only thing left is Haben and what he wants. But wait a minute. Why did he even call me out? How did he even know about my past? Why would someone who is supposed to be my replacement call me out? I have so many questions to ask. When he finds out that 244 was behind all of that, he punches him and says, I am not going down alone. If I die, I am taking down Taesunju with me. To all the work for him, you must have thought I was just bluffing. I have more cards to play than the two of you know. He calls Jinho Lee, shocked to know that he knows his name. The story gets more intense as it progresses. Do you really think your name is the only input I have on you? As he punches him, a fight breaks out. After some time, 244 says, "We were in the wrong. I did not know you had this much on me." He continues, "I will tell the assemblyman that we need to keep you on our side. Then things will be cool between us, right?" Chungjin replies, "How am I supposed to believe you?" 244 responds, "I will provide the evidence. I will send it to the news sites and even the new tubers calling you out, so don't worry about anything. But I will not be taking down Viral Hook." Chungjin says, "I want you to remember that the reason I did not kill you is that you're still useful to me." He adds, "Let's take that anger out on Viral Hook, okay?" Chungjin says, "It's going as planned. The new articles online have been taken down. The journalists camping outside my house have gone away. The new tubers calling me out will also be taken care of. Now it's up to me to win public support. Everything is going according to plan." Everyone is shocked to see that he has started streaming. He says, "I am speaking up because I cannot ignore the things and controversies that I have been accused of. They're all total fabrications, and I will keep this brief. I will take everyone who spreads false information about me to court." But this incident made me think a lot about things. It made me think that maybe it was because I was getting too full of myself, or maybe it was because I was not humble enough. So, I will go back to how I was in the beginning. Everybody is surprised to see him cutting his hair. Instead of giving a long explanation, he delivers a clear message through a strong gesture. With this, his fan base is back on his side again, and everyone starts apologizing to him. Now the boy named Haben is in trouble. According to the assemblyman, he saw that only the news articles have been taken down. "Did you help him? Didn't you say you were going to ditch him?" he asks. 244 replies, "We are going to do it slowly. I will take him down gradually. It seems he knows more than I thought. Right now, he wants to come after me. It's a shame if he manages to hurt us. I'm going to teach him a lesson. When he changes his target to Viral Hook, he'll want to come after us. This is why you shouldn't take stress. I'm looking forward to seeing how this turns out. But there's something I don't get. Won't that Haben kid be doomed if things go like this? Will he be fine without your help? He still has an ace up his sleeve. I am not going to do it. It will definitely be dangerous for your family." Haben says, but the reply is, "Doing something like this just to save me is fine. It's already decided." Suddenly, Yonuji appears on the stream, and everyone is shocked to see him. He says, "The reason I am here today is to tell you the awful things that Chongjin has done. Do you remember the attack on the deputy chief of the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, and Transport? He is responsible for that. He repeatedly gave bribes to the deputy chief and benefited from this arrangement. But when his request was denied by the deputy chief because of issues with his child, he became vindictive and ordered someone to commit this crime. He tried to hide the fact that he had taken bribes for many years. The police received a witness and evidence for this crime and immediately started an investigation. The reason a normal high school student like me has all the details about this major incident is because I am the son of the corrupt government official. His dad says, 'You did the right thing. This is what should be done.' We come to you with breaking news. It has been revealed that the person behind the attack on the chief was Mr. Beck, a tuber with 5 million subscribers. This has ignited a huge scandal. Prosecutors are considering issuing him an arrest warrant, so this is the end for him. Now he will go to prison. It will be hard for him to even see the sun. There needs to be justice in this world, a world where a man lives like a horrible person. It would be outrageous if he escapes this. His son is ruthless. I expected him to overlook this, but he did not because of who his father is. Do you have a hand in this?" he asks. "Was it you who sent him a text?" Haben is watching How to Beat a Judo Fighter. He says, "I have memorized everything he says." He hears something outside the door and wonders what's happening. The scene shifts to a fight where a man says, "An up-and-coming D fighter, a former member of a Yakuza gang." That sounds very impressive, but is judo supposed to be scary? It's a martial art that's weak against people who are stronger than them. I doubt he'll use judo techniques on me. That means the only thing he can do is hit me after putting some distance between us. But even if he creates some distance, I still have boxing. One hit, and I can take him down. But wait, he's getting closer. I will show him who is stronger. As Haben punches, he counters and strikes the fighter in the belly. The fighter says, I did not expect this. Haben replies, this is for hurting you. It's natural that I didn't expect this. I guess you're not a champion at all when it comes to this sport. It's foul play to hit someone's balls or poke their eyes. Everybody says you can win a fight if you hit your opponent's pressure points, but why don't people do it? I will recover by grabbing him no matter what. It's because you can kill someone. That's why people need to change their minds about that. Think about what a fight is. Fighting is about killing your opponent. It's not a sport with rules in place. What about MMA competitions? I heard you say there are too many limitations. You can't use weapons. Isn't that funny? People practice various techniques to win a match, but you can't even use a single weapon. By the way, I don't see any minors here. Why do you have a beer in your fridge? Is it all right for minors to drink like this? The fighter says, that's unfair. I even gave up alcohol for my public image. Did you get your nose fixed in Gangnam? I wanted to be in politics. He's not here. Ban him for leaving the country. The police respond, why did I become like this? It's all because of you. As Yonu arrives, he says, it's all because of you. You're evil. You're a monster. As they fight, Haben says, we're on the same team. It was nice. I can withstand the pain. I'm confident that I can take a beating if you just keep hitting each other. I can do a shoulder throw if it's once, but have I ever trained my back? You could have just let it be equal or let me slide. You could have exposed me later and let me have a career as a politician first. It would have been okay to let me climb up the ladder a little. You're doing what you want to do. You're passionately pursuing karate. But why? Why won't you let me do what I want? Karate is nice. I've seen a lot of people in Japan who train like hell and find true satisfaction, but no matter how much they train, they get beaten by everyone else. I wonder if you're any different. He says, it's too late to do something about that. Are you planning to leave evidence, or are you just live streaming? It's probably best if you don't feel it. The cameraman says, we're professionals. That's right. This is my job. Chungjin says, we were probably destined to face each other like this. Don't you think so, Haben? What a great entrance. There is a reason your channel is so popular. One step, just one more step. I need to take one more step. He asks Haben, why did you do it? With a furious voice. As Haben pours a sesame oil bottle on his head, he is shocked and says, what kind of game are you playing now? I'm going to show you as well. It's inevitable that we face off. Cameraman says, so this is better. It feels like, to fight with you, you have to win. He adds, half of me is looking forward to it, and half of me is afraid. You are the only one left who can fight. Are you going to use a technique to be a judo fighter this time? Judo is a martial art where one of the main moves is grabbing your opponent and slamming them onto the ground. If you slam them hard, it can even lead to death. It is recognized as one of the best martial arts for real fights. Fighting someone who practices judo is almost suicide because you will be giving them an opening. If you hate them badly, you need to avoid fighting with a grappler unless you are a professional. Haben says, how you beat a judo fighter? Icy punches in the face. He adds, there is no need to be afraid anymore, as your body is slippery because of the sesame oil. After some time, Haben is lying on the ground, helpless. The man says, your technique to beat a judo fighter has failed badly. He continues, I feel like I'm going to die. Do you know why? There is a referee in the middle. The fight between those two people, the pick of the winner, is based on the rules they have set. What we call fighting is just entertainment at that point. Haben says, it's up to me to fix all of this. I am going to... As he is saying this, he is kicked in the mouth badly. The man says, do you know what a fight is? You fight, you stab, and break bones. That's what fighting is. As Haben lies helpless, the man says, I asked you why you did it. You had it tough in life. I also had it tough. You could have sympathized with me. You didn't have to call me out. He adds, we are alike, but he gets punched. It is no one other than Taehoon who has come to help Haben. Chungjin says, what is this? If you are going to make an entrance, do it all at once. What a rude way of knocking. You must be really mad. He adds, I hate when someone messes with my things without my permission. Now Taehoon is here to help. Hobin and Chongjin call it impressive. He is trying to show me that a trained athlete is different. One critical hit, and I am dead. He says he is strong and does not look like the same guy who fought Yonu. His fighting is on a whole different level than it was before. But Chongjin is a judo fighter, and the fight is over if he gets a hold of Taehoon. However, Taehoon dodges every move of Chongjin, surprising him. Fishes, you should have watched your hands first. Some of the sachet oil you got on your hands while fighting with Hobin is still there, Taehoon says. How annoying. He can't do any judo moves. He adds, let's make this fair. It's not fair if I am the only one who can use martial arts. You should have handicapped me. Can you beat me using taekwondo if you can't use your feet? Chongjin responds, who said I can only use my legs in ITF-style taekwondo? The cameraman comments, he's not some ordinary punk. He's a professionally trained fighter. There is no chance that Songjin can beat him. Chongjin asks, what's the point of grabbing me now? Taehoon replies, I told you, you should watch your hands. His hand is not slipping because he broke the bottle, not to prevent me from using my feet, but to use it as a powder. He adds, my hands are not slipping now, and he smashes him into the ground, rendering him unconscious. Taehoon says, where are you even going? We should check if I was dead first. He continues, seriously, you know you can't beat me. My hands are not slipping anymore. Chongjin responds, no, I have become a fool in my old age. I have taught my son something that I haven't even mastered. His father says, Taehoon, do me a favor. If anyone can do it, it's you, because you have extraordinary skill with spinning kicks. Taehoon replies, thanks for holding me in place. No one will be able to beat you now. As Hobin comes to his senses, he says, I fainted. On the other hand, Taehoon is lying on the ground with Chongjin getting a hold of him. Chongjin says, I'll be done soon, so just wait there for a moment. It will be your turn next. He tells Hobin, I would normally use something sharp, but I'll make an exception because you're a minor after all. I can't be too cruel, can I? As he charges to hit him, Hobin gets on his knees and apologizes. He says, I have to beg. It's all my fault. I will do anything you ask me to do. Chongjin responds, I have to back off or we're all going to die for real. He is the type who would really do it, and I am scared. Chongjin says, my life is over now. Did you really think that I would forgive you? Grown-ups let you off when you do something wrong, but do you know what, Hobin? I am not that kind of grown-up. He thinks to himself, why am I picking a fight with a bunch of kids? Meanwhile, Hobin thinks it's all 244's fault. Chongjin says, 244 is behind all this, right? He replies, I'm guessing right, but does not answer further, indicating they want to finish this today. Chongjin says, then let's finish this. He calls the assemblyman and says, how the hell did you get my number? I told you not to contact me. The assemblyman stops talking when he hears Chongjin on the phone. Chongjin says, I guess 244 did not pass on my message. I told him that I would make sure to take both of you down with me if you kick me to the curb. The assemblyman replies, are you trying to threaten me or something? Chongjin says, why don't you take a guess as to what I am going to do next? I'm the human butcher. I'm not going to turn myself in for conspiracy to commit murder and charges of tax evasion. What do you think will happen when people find out that the money laundering I did through the company is closely linked to you, Mr. Jew? I have detailed records of the distribution of the illegal political funds that I passed on to you. You're going to have a lot on your plate for a while. You should not have underestimated someone who's part of the Yakuza gang. I don't know when I will see you next, but I guess we're practically friends now, right? The assemblyman asks, what are you going to do now? You said you could keep him in check. Do you know what that bastard is up to now? Did 244 turn himself in or something? Or did you know this is a broken relationship? It's all over for us. 244 says to just trust him. Hobin, sitting with his cameraman Jihyuk, asks, is it over right now? Jihyuk replies, that's pretty much it. The police came over. Hobin apologizes, saying, it's my fault that everyone. But Jihyuk stops him, saying, let's consider ourselves lucky that we're still alive after messing with a former Yakuza gang member. I was filming it just in case it might come in handy later on. Jihyuk adds, you're incredible. You called the police while filming at the same time. Hoban says, "What are you talking about? I did not call the police." Cheongjun is already in police custody when he says, "What was your dream in life?" Then he answers to himself, "I just wanted to make a lot of money. I don't know when that became my dream. It might have been when I started to grow up a little. I went through a series of losses just to make money and thought I had finally made it. But I'm sorry, I've become a chatterbox now." As everyone falls silent, the scene shifts to 244 and the assemblyman. The assemblyman asks, "You want me to trust you, but the cops have Songjun. It's all over." After he turns off his cell phone, he says, "Listen, you have nothing to worry about. The people who attacked him are not cops, but guess what? Songjun already found out about it and beat up the cops. Did 2044 or Jinho have anything to do with this?" As he is beating up the police officers, 244 says, "By the way, there is something I wanted to know. I wonder if you can give me an answer. I heard that the reason why the members wrap themselves in bandages before a fight is to stop their organs from spilling out when they get stabbed. Will I be able to see that in action today?" He replies, "That's news to me. I guess I must be pretty gullible too." He then says, "Take a good look in front of you," as he gets out of the car. She sees a lot of people with multiple weapons coming at him. There are a lot of foreigners out there, aren't there? They're all people who are here to kill you. Don't worry, they're not dumbbell gangsters who don't know what they're doing. They may not be good at fighting, but they are skilled killers. I can vouch for their ability because they work for me. So can you try not to make this difficult for both of us and just go ahead and die without kicking up a fuss?" The assemblyman says, "Is there a way to get rid of him?" 244 replies, "They will be done soon. They're also good at cleaning up afterwards, and it happens to be raining. I knew it. Trust you to predict the future." The article reads, "The popular new YouTuber takes his own life as the police close in. They are not sure if people will actually believe it. They only believe what they see." Nothing beats the news. If you want to show people something, the police are also cooperative with that, so you can put it out of your mind. The assemblyman says, "But you said he is a legend in the Yakuza world. Will he go down this easily?" He replies, "Come on, I told you, these people are pros." One of the men says, "I will get $5,000 if I kill you. My family will become well off with that money." Chong kicks him and says, "Don't try to feed me your sob story. It makes things way too corny. You can pay for money, but you have the cheek to turn your story into a tearjerker. Put in more effort." He thinks, "I wonder if I can survive. I need to kill all of them in order to survive." As he says that, he thinks, "You're saying that I am only worth $5,000? Will I be able to kill them all? I don't want to die, but there's still so much I need to do. I have to become more successful. I promised that I would become successful, but I wonder if I can." As he is hitting everyone, he says, "Really? Did you really think you could kill me?" Now most of the people are scared of him as he shows no mercy. The scene shifts to a person who is unknown in the story so far. He's holding an umbrella and wearing a good suit. He is talking on the phone with someone saying, "I just arrived," as he approaches Songjun. Songjun says, "Looks like there is one person left," and the unknown man says, "It's time for you to die." Songjun replies, "I'm not going to die," and the unknown man says, "I'm going to tell you what the boss said. He said, 'Let's have that coffee another time,' then repeats himself saying, 'It's time for you to die.'" He bids him goodbye as he points his gun towards him. As he is about to pull the trigger, he reminisces about his past, reflecting on his life with his mother. He remembers her saying, "When you grow up, don't you know that you're going to be an adult soon?" He recalls that his mom always went to work at night and wore excessively heavy makeup. He had a fake ID to cover up what she did for work. When his mom asked why he had beaten someone up this time, he didn't let on that he knew what she did. He just said he beat him because he didn't like him. He thought that was a reasonable thing to do. His mother was working for his sake, and he didn't want her to know that he knew what she did. They were always short on cash, so he had to find a way out. He didn't particularly like the sport, but it could lead to more money. His coach, who was a good person and understood his suffering, was like a father figure to him. When an opportunity to pull himself out of poverty came, he was asked to rig a match. He had to make a decision. With 10 million yen, his mother wouldn't have to work again. He rejected the offer, thinking he wouldn't be happy with the dirty money. Then something unexpected happened. He ended up becoming something more valuable, though he also made an enemy. From that moment on, he could see the light at the end of the tunnel. If he upheld his image and continued moving forward, he was guaranteed to be rich. It was an opportunity he didn't want to waste. He was happy, but began to wonder if he was given too much to be this happy. An opportunity came to him, and he decided he was not going to live like this anymore. Before an interview, he had been preparing for the next judo competition. He talks about how he fought for his mom's sake, even if it meant giving up. But he also admits that he got scared of losing his heart and the opportunity. At that moment, he thinks he shouldn't have done it. I was told off, my body was bruised and I was bleeding, but strangely enough, it didn't even hurt. There was someone who was hurting more, Hoban, my mom. Time eventually passed, and someone contacted me through my coach. Someone had caught on, but I didn't want to hurt my mom anymore. If I rejected their request to rig the match, everyone would find out about my mom, and I couldn't let her get hurt again after I had already hurt her once. It was fine as long as my mom could smile. It wasn't because I didn't want to be hit again. It was because I wanted to make my mom smile from now on. But it was weird. I made so much money, yet my mom looked like she was struggling. It seemed like she knew something was wrong. People say that you can sense when something bad is about to happen, and it turned out to be true. The 30 million yen I was going to use to start a business with my mom was gone. I hated giving up everything I had to get that money. I told my mom it wasn't money you could just spend like that, but it was all gone. My coach took all of it. I trusted him. He had been like a father to me. As the coach tries to calm him down and relax him, he continues to punch him, shouting, "How could you even do this to me?" He asks, "Why did you do this?" His mom tries to stop him, but he keeps punching and says, "I thought of you as my dad." The coach groans, and he sees friends of the coach trying to calm him down. The girl who was holding a horn to him says, "What did I do wrong? It's my money anyway." He replies, "You could have done judo first." He then reflects, "You're right. It was the first time I had killed someone. I could hear the sound of my heartbeat and the sirens blaring. I could also hear the sound of my life piercing my flesh. I tried to hang in there and thought, it's not too deep. It was him, the small-time Yakuza member I had made fun of. I stared at this person, treating him as if he were the police arresting me instead. I found out too late that the person who became a murderer in my place was my father. He passed away, and I was a free man. I think I just kept drifting aimlessly until my mind was empty. From that moment on, I became obsessed with money. I don't know why either. Maybe I thought that since things turned out this way because we had no money, I would be able to turn back time if I made enough. I wanted to know how much money I needed to be happy, so I decided to find out. I seized every opportunity I could to make money. It was true to some extent that money and happiness were closely connected. Then the Kawaguchi gang forced their way in. It was an infamous Yakuza gang. I was being scouted from then on. I ran into a lot of people and killed countless individuals. It seemed I had a talent for it and gained recognition quickly. Instead of being called Seongjun, the up-and-coming judo star, I was soon known by another name, Warai Oni, the smiling goblin. It was just another day, just another job. All I had to do was slip into a property and kill someone. It was that easy. As I tapped the man with a smiling face, I opened the bag and saw a note written in Korean. It said, "I'm sorry, son." It was him, the small-time Yakuza member. It was my father whom I had just murdered. Then I guess I will be able to meet him one day. He was my family. He had been the only family member I had left. "This bag, right?" Someone told him. "Do you know that you were a traitor for killing him?" Even if I did, what difference does it make? I sent him to do the job, but it looks like Songjun went instead. I rationalized it as revenge. I didn't think of it as revenge after personally killing my own father. I would really go to the depths. I became sure of something while standing in front of my parents' grave. There was no God. Then the Yakuza started taking their revenge. I really wanted to die. I wanted to follow them. I wanted to be with them. I wanted to end everything. But strangely enough, I did not die, even though I wanted to. I turned to alcohol and thought it was all over, but it wasn't. Our island burned while I stared at my burning house. Revenge breeds more revenge, and this fight was never going to end. Just like that, I became a man on the run. From that point on, there was nowhere in Japan I could hide. The police came after me by day, and the Yakuza haunted me by night. I could not find any way to stay, even though I had the money. I was pathetic. I had made up my mind that I was going to die, but here I was, doing my best to survive. I met with a smuggling broker and got on a smuggling boat. My crewmates included a company president who was in a mountain of debt and a housewife addicted to gambling. They were people trying to put their past behind them. The only thing I did was what I was told, alongside others who had their own reasons for taking the boat. It was very interesting. We were in the open sea, a beautiful venue. If one of us tired, that person was probably treated harshly by the crew. I was used to this kind of thing. I had to show them that I was not a pushover. It was no different from how things worked on land, and that was the first time I met Jinho. I had been in countless fights against different fighting styles: boxing, Muay Thai, Kendo. They were all nothing special, but he was different. I could tell from the moment he hit me that he was cut from the same cloth as me. I knew he had survived life-or-death situations just like I had. It was the first time in a long while that I felt I had to kill this guy. I knew I would die if I didn't confront him. And that's how we met. I quickly gained recognition, and they were the crew that brought me from Korea. He said to me, "It looks like we really pulled off a disguise, if that's what it looks like to you. Come with me. What we actually do on this boat is make medicine." He showed me the recipe and the amount of medicine they had made. To be honest, I was impressed. I had met a lot of people and killed a lot of people, but I couldn't figure this guy out. I was curious to know what kind of person he was. I had the feeling that he was an empty shell. Suddenly, someone called for an emergency, saying that their group was defeated. They picked a fight with another guy, and this guy defeated all of them. He said, "I will go check." Jinho's crew were gangsters, just as skilled as the Yakuza. It was odd that they were defeated. A man stood there wearing a chicken mask around his waist. I was already feeling intimidated by that. We had guys back, but I couldn't let on that I was scared. I talked myself up on purpose. He was a very short guy, but he was an actual beast. Looking back on it, it is very surprising because the calf kick wasn't a common move back then. It might be a coincidence, but did someone teach you how to fight, how to hit without getting hurt? The thought crossed my mind. If I had survived a life-or-death situation, then what had this guy been through? He's gripping my waist, so I cannot use my strength. It was nice to meet him, but I have a few questions and cannot keep the kid waiting. I had lost. I had been annihilated. I was not even angry that I had lost. In fact, I hated to love because I could not believe it. Jinho said, "It's the first time I have seen you lose. I got the crew to move you to the board because you had fainted." It was a strange feeling. It was boring on the boat and making, so she was more fun than I had thought. I think I also had some talent for making, so I had no idea I would be doing this for a living later on. It occurred to me that for some reason he was testing me. As Jinho said, "We will be arriving in Korea soon. Ask him if he has any plans." He says, "Not really. I was thinking I might start a business." It's in the I am also talented when it comes to handling a cooking knife, since they are also a type of blade. He says, "So you want to set up a restaurant?" And he says, "Ask me to come and work with him. As he told me that I've got some skills," he says, "become the person I want you to be. I trust that you understand what I mean." I understand. By the way, when are you going to stop being so formal with me? You don't have to keep calling me kept. And he says, "That will probably be someone that I really trust." As they reach Korean waters, they say that we should start getting ready. We have to get ready to set foot in Korean territory and meet the Coast Guards. As they got the stowaways ready, Jinho asks, "Is anyone here? You will be meeting the Coast Guard soon." Aj, blind their pockets with a lot of money, sir. You don't have to worry about the PIN code. You're in Korean waters. I am glad I could keep my promise that I would get you to Korea without any trouble. But I never said that I would get you to the shore. Didn't you feel that something was off when you were looking for a smuggling boat? Didn't you ask yourself if these were the people who made it into the smuggling boat, but no one made it to dry land? It would be weird to let all of you set foot on your life after you have worked for us as our mules. And he says, don't worry, everyone. You died in the waters of this country you so desperately wanted to reach. And he says, so what are you going to do now? What kind of person are you going to be? And he says, I have never dropped the formalities. You have Coast Guards in front of you and a knife in your back. Will you be able to make it out alive? And he says, take a good look at yourself and see how I am going to make it out alive. He dives into the water, and Jinho says, I wanted him to beg for his life. I am sure that he knew when he chose to escape. As he is informed that the Coast Guards are here, he says, let's go and meet them. The man who was informing them asks, are you just going to let Songjun go? And he replies, what can I do? He's someone I couldn't even catch if I wanted to. As Songjun continues explaining, because I was guilty of entering the country illegally, I was put in a detention center. It turned out that men caught in Korean waters are sent to a Korean prison. It was strange because I was in an unfamiliar country. As the prisoners ask if he is a foreigner and what his ID number is, Songjun says, but it was not too different from Japan. It turned out that strength was all that mattered. I considered starting over. I thought about the kind of life I should lead in Korea. I had spent my whole life being used by others. I realized that these things had happened because I didn't know anything about how the world worked. I started studying. I started reading every book I could find and memorized it all, learning everything from history to stocks. I began to understand how this world really works. Then, one day, I came across something new during vocational training. I could sense it. YouTube was the future. I started preparing to move up in the world so that I would not be exploited. I met Wanguk around that time. Sympathetic to those lifeless eyes, I taught him how, but I had no idea that he would be able to pull it off. In order to survive, you have to take down people and get ahead. I decided to use him to become successful. I was released from prison before I started carrying out my plan. I wondered if starting things this way was the right move. Wouldn't I end up in the same situation as before, as if I just focused on earning money? In the end, money is just a species of vapor. He thinks, was there something more powerful than money? There was. There are two kinds of people in this world I cannot forgive. The first is anyone who tries to stab me, and the second is the one who actually stabs me. They both engage in a fight, and after some time, he asks if he still wants to team up. So, we decided to use each other. That was the beginning. That's how I started my YouTube career. The scene then shifts to the present, where he says, we're practically friends now, so I can treat you like a friend, right? Hobin cries, and Chongjin says, I think I am dying. Hobin asks, how did you know where to find me? You can't be here. You should leave because it is dangerous here. Hobin says, I really feel bad for you. You cannot be forgiven. You have killed people, and there is no way around that. If someone like you can get away with murder, everyone will want to do the same. Chongjin replies, but aren't you both younger and more mature than me? Chongjin says to spare Hobin, and the unknown person says, are you done talking? But he replies, I told you to spare the boy. If you don't, I will hunt you down even after I am dead. He says, I am sorry, but I cannot live, and everything that happens is God's will. Chongjin asks the man, are you going to shoot me? This young kid who doesn't know anything, do you think you're God like that? From what I know, your God doesn't kill young children. He asks him to let the kid go, saying, I will go and explain it all to the God you worship. Suddenly, he calls his boss and says, I'm finishing up. As for witnesses, there are none left. He informs the boss that Warai Oni is dead. The scene then shifts to Cheongjun standing at a podium. He thanks everyone for voting for him and says, I vow to keep the promises I made to you. So many people have suffered, so many people have lost their lives. Of course, I am aware I should not say that as a former Yakuza member, but we need to put an end to this. Now somebody must put an end to this instigating witch hunt against specific people, and I will drive forward the real use of real names online. I don't want anyone to suffer anymore. The scene then shifts to a man live streaming himself as he says, The live stream of Songjun's funeral starts now. There are plenty of YouTubers who came to pay their respects to the late Mr. Baek, as expected for a YouTuber with 5 million subscribers. The man says, "I will start by interviewing," as Hoban interrupts, saying, "Turn off the stream. This is not right." The man replies, "What makes you think I have to stop just because you said so?" Hoban insists, "I said turn it off. Songjun has passed away. It was a sad funeral, not attended by any of his family. I was there and saw who killed him with my own eyes, but the news only reported that he had killed himself. My head is a mess." Someone asks Hoban if he is okay. He looks up to see Bomi, who says, "You didn't get much sleep, did you? Because you had to greet all the guests." She adds that everyone else is on their way. Gaol is coming, Snapper got discharged, and Taehun and Mongi are still in the hospital. She asks him how he's doing, and he replies, "I need to go to the bathroom." He thinks, what else is there for me to say? I'm just going to keep moving forward. The scene shifts to 244, who says, "I thought I'd made it today." He is celebrating with the assemblyman, who says, "What I'm having over tea tastes sweet and perfect to me. Anyway, what are you going to do now? Do you have a successor since Songjun is dead?" 244 replies, "You want someone to be the next Songjun?" The assemblyman says, "The presidential elections are right around the corner. Someone may have died, but the wheels have to keep turning. You don't have to worry about finding a successor. I already have someone lined up." The scene then shifts to Hoban's room, where 244 says, "Did I keep you waiting?" Hoban replies, "I only just got here." 244 says, "Please take a seat. I want to offer you something." 244 comments, "You've really changed your attitude towards me." Hoban responds, "That's because I want to make big bucks, just like Songjun did." 244 says, "He became rich thanks to you. I want to win big like that too. I'm confident I can do a good job doing whatever you tell me to do." 244 replies, "As it happens, there is something you could do for me." Hoban asks, "Tell me, what is it? I will do anything." 244 explains, "Before I go into that, there is something I want you to know. I heard that Songjun went to your company headquarters. Did he talk to you like a friend while he was there?" Hoban says, "No, he kept me at a distance the whole time." 244 says, "I heard you ended up being the chief mourner at his funeral. Why would you do that?" Hoban replies, "Because I thought the subscribers would blame him if I didn't. As the one who called him out, if I didn't at least help with the funeral, it was obvious that I would face backlash and get dragged for it online. In any case, they're making a big deal over the death of someone who used to be part of the Yakuza. Do you know what he did when he came to our headquarters? Manji had to get surgery again, and Taehun was admitted to the hospital. When I think about their injuries..." He stops, then says, "Anyway, I look forward to working with you." After some time, Hoban returns to his headquarters, and his friends ask, "Did your meeting with 244 go well? What are you going to do from now on?" Hoban says, "What do you think?" He remembers Songjun saying, "Jinho is going to ask you a question. If he asks if I talked to you like a friend, tell him I did not, and don't come to my funeral. He will get suspicious." As the scene returns to the present, Hoban asks if everyone is ready. This is the information that he left behind that we can use to call out Jinho Lee, and I'm going to call him out starting right now. "There is something I haven't told you. Songjun didn't kill himself," he says. His friends respond, "But that's how it was reported." He explains, "That's because somebody made sure it was reported like that. I met Songjun before he died, and I'm going to tell you guys everything." As he explains to his friends what happened, they are all shocked, realizing he almost died back there too. They say, "But we are in Korea. How can someone be killed and the truth hidden like this? Are you really going to call him out? Who is capable of killing people like that?" Goal comments, "It sounds to me like he's on another level. Can you really call him out? Do you think you can dodge bullets or something?" He replies, "That's what I'm saying. Why would you want to provoke someone like that? Are you trying to get revenge for his death? Did you forget what he did to you? You know what happened to our guys. Taehun and Yeonju can't even leave their beds at the hospital. Manji was also a victim. You can't try to take revenge on behalf of Songjun." He says, "It's not about revenge. I'm going to call him out to expose the truth. People should know what he did. That's what my channel is about. His cameraman says, this is very frustrating. Let's say we decide to call him out. How are you going to take on someone like that? You said he even controls the media, and there's an assemblyman secretly backing him. How can you take on someone like that? We need more evidence. He responds, he doesn't know that I'm targeting him yet. I'm going to try to get close to him. The scene shifts to the past, where Hoban says, this is so unfair. How come I have no muscles? I eat well, and I exercise. I don't know what to do. I have to become strong. But it's okay. I have Samdak to help me. He decides to watch the final episode of a video series on fighting techniques. But as he scrolls through all the videos, he realizes, I've watched everything, and there's no final episode. Suddenly, he realizes, why didn't he upload the final video? I can't become a better fighter without it. Back in the present, Jihyuk says, you want to scrap the plan to call Jinho out? What's up with you? You said your channel is about exposing bad people. I get that it's making you cringe, but in the past, Hoban says, I could just take some lessons, but I'm scared. Their muscles are intimidating. He is facing 4 muscular men, and one of them says, what's going on? Why are you being so noisy? Noticing Hoban, the man says, we'd be happy to accept you as a student. He asks Hoban if he will promote his gym, and Hoban asks what he wants to learn. The man explains, when I watched your videos, I noticed your form becomes sloppy. Hoban realizes, that's it, I can become stronger. I don't need to find the final episode. After some training, Logan Gracie approaches Hoban and calls him a little boy. Hoban says, you couldn't speak Korean back then. Logan replies, I learned it again. I had just picked it up by myself before, but I had forgotten how to speak. He adds, you don't have to tell me what you're searching for. I already know. You're probably looking for the final episode of the Fighting Techniques series. You need to get stronger, but since there was no final episode, I decided to come to this gym because it was the next best thing. Then he asks, who exactly are you? Just then, someone interrupts them, saying, I don't understand, no matter how much I think about it. The first guy responds, you're the guy from earlier, and asks what he doesn't understand. The man explains, you said MMA and street fighting are different. He replies, they are different. This isn't something to brag about, but I used to be a street fighter. I learned MMA because I felt there was a huge difference in skill when I fought an MMA fighter. That's why I'm certain that a street fighter cannot beat an MMA fighter. The first guy then asks, so what is it that you want to say? The man says, I don't care if there are no rules. Let me fight him, referring to Hoban. He then asks Hoban, do you think you can fight an MMA fighter? Hoban responds, I know that Samdak isn't a fraud. If there are no rules, then let's fight. Logan steps in and says, I'll take responsibility for whatever happens, so you can fight each other. Take each other down, do whatever you want, but both of you agree to this, so just don't call the police when you get injured. As they fight, Logan observes, that's a decent calf kick. You must have practiced that form 10,000 times, but an MMA fighter will know how to block it. As the fight continues, Hoban emerges victorious. Logan stops the fight and says, let's leave it there, out of respect for each other. Your MMA moves are great, and so are your fighting techniques. Hoban sits in a corner, and Logan approaches him, saying, watching you fight made me want to see something. Hoban asks, what is it that you want? Logan says, you want the final episode of the Fighting Technique series, don't you? I'll show you what it is, under one condition. I promise to give you the final episode if you fight someone of my choosing. Hoban asks, you want me to fight them? And when? Logan replies, like the last match, there will be no rules. I'll give you the final episode of the series if you beat my student, Munseong. Hoban says, I don't want to. How can I even fight a friend? We're really close to each other. He thinks, I think that guy must be Samdak. I have to get him to teach me something new, but he's only going to show me if I beat Munseong. Why do I have to fight my friend when I just managed to become friends with him? I'll probably die if I fight him. Forget it. Just then, Bomi comes up to him and says, I'm so glad we found the time to see each other. Hoban replies, this is the only time I get to see you. When you're done with cram school, how are your studies going? Suddenly, Bomi grabs his hand and starts to run. He says, we're at my school, and adds, It's about time we started holding hands. He continues, I know this might be a bit soon, but now that we're holding hands, why don't we go to a room cafe? She responds, do you have a death wish? And he quickly says, I was just kidding. She then says, let's go this weekend. Later that day, Munseong is visited by Hobin, who asks, did you get a good night's sleep? Have you had breakfast? Munseong says, if you have something to say, just say it. Hobin hesitates and then explains, I don't know where to start, but the thing is, I ran into your coach, Logan, and he told me. Munseong interrupts, then this is going to be easy. Let's just tell him a little lie. Hobin replies, I don't want to fight you, and I'm sure you don't want to fight me either. If you do, then we'll have to fight. Munseong says, don't worry about me. I'm up for fighting you. Hobin, confused, asks, why are you acting like this all of a sudden? Did I do something wrong? Munseong reveals, I like Bomi. Hobin is lying in his bed, thinking about Munseong, who said, I like her more than you do. Hobin replied, what are you trying to say? Are you going to go after her too? Munseong responded, I know it's childish, and I know it's pathetic. I'm telling you this because I feel like it's something you should know, because we're friends. Back in the present, Hobin wonders, did it really come to all this? He likes Bomi and has started liking her first. That's why he's been acting like that towards me. I had no idea. So do we really have to fight like Logan said? Can I even beat him? If we fight, will my techniques even work on him? Will they work on the beast? My original plan was to somehow get him to do me a favor and ask Logan to teach me something new. Should I just tell him I can't fight him? Should I just give up because there's no way I can beat him? If I become stronger, it will be impossible for me to call out Jinho. What should I do? He thinks, my head is a mess. The scene then shifts to Munseong and his friends discussing how Hobin almost lost. As they talk, Bomi from upstairs tells them to shut up and go somewhere else. She sees things she's not happy about and mutters to herself about smoking outside. I've never had a fellow come to my house before, she thinks, realizing she invited a boy to her house. She quickly says to herself, I've got to clean everything. When Hobin arrives, he says, this is your house? Can I come in? As he enters, he comments, your house smells good. It has a nice scent. She responds, it's a girl's house after all. Hobin adds, but I think before it smelled like something was about to die. She laughs and says, thanks, but I sprayed. It's bug spray. As they check the laptop, they find 3 files. Hobin says, is this? I think there's much more to her than meets the eye. He adds, let me just take a look first. This is the episode about fighting techniques for highly advanced students. How to never lose to anybody. He's shocked to see that this episode is about fighting techniques for highly advanced students, divided into 3 videos. He asks, why do you have this episode on your laptop, and what does it have to do with you? As they are arguing, Gail's dad sees them in a suspicious position. Hobin is surprised and quickly says, can you just please hear me out first? Her dad replies, I will hear you out in hell. After some time, her dad says, you know I am a man of my word, right? So I will let you decide yourself. Do you want me to save it, or do you want to save it? He adds, you still haven't come to your senses yet. Gail tries to explain, is it really what you think? He likes someone else. What you saw earlier wasn't what you think. Her dad, who has been stressing her out these days, remarks, you couldn't even manage to win over a boy's heart, and then tells her to go buy a new bug spray. Later, at the headquarters, Hobin is greeted by Gull. He thinks, I have to get my hands on the Fighting Technique series any way I can. Gail is surprised as Hobin has prepared a meal for her and even cooked it himself. She asks, did you really make all this? And he proudly says, yup, that's right. Hobin then tries to talk about the final episode of the Fighting Techniques. He says, I saw that you had it yesterday. Can you send it to me? Gull recalls a memory where Logan had given her the final episode, but had told her, I think it's better not to upload this episode. When she asked why, Logan explained, it's too dangerous. I've changed my mind. These techniques are too dangerous for the public. He made her promise not to share it with anyone. In the present, Gail tells Hobin, I cannot show it to anyone, not even you. Hobin pleads, don't be like that. Can't you make an exception just this once? I really need to see it. Gull firmly replies, I'm sorry, but I cannot. It doesn't matter what the reason is. You cannot watch the final episode. Hoban, feeling defeated, says, "Okay, sorry. Let's just eat." Meanwhile, Bomi and Munsong are chatting. Bomi teases, "You can't help yourself, can you? It must be because I'm cute. You guys are all alike." Munsong agrees, "That's right. I think you're cute." Bomi is surprised by his honesty. Munxiang then asks, "I want to see you again tomorrow." Bomi, feeling a bit flustered, says, "I'm going to head back inside now. It's getting chilly outside." As she leaves, Munsong thinks to himself, "No matter how good you are at waiting, it's impossible to overcome my differences. You cannot beat an MMA fighter." He also silently pleads, "Just don't fight with Munsong." A month later, Hoban is lying in bed thinking, "I have 1 month left until my fight with Munsong. Can I really beat that beast? I've been told that I will die. There are no rules, and this won't be like any other fight I've been in so far. Why does the dead person want me to fight him? Should I just give up?" Suddenly, his phone rings, and it's Logan. "The day has finally come. You are going to be fighting your friend," Logan says. "I should have put some money on this. Are you going to enjoy this fight?" Logan asks. Hoban responds, "Of course I am." Logan then comments, "Are you saying that what you did in the past was also noble?" Hoban brushes it off as his friends arrive to support him. They remark, "Looks like a few ringside fans have arrived," and Hoban thanks them for coming. As Taehun passes by Munseong, he mutters, "I'm going to kill you if something happens to Hoban." When Hoban arrives, Jihyuk asks him, "Do you really want to fight?" Hoban, determined, replies, "I have to give it a try." As the fight is about to start, the scene shifts to the day when Gul sent the video to Hoban. She says in the present, "I sent the video." Back in the present, Logan says, "Of course, there are no referees and no rules. Show me what a true fight looks like. Show me the beauty of a real fight." Gul thinks, "There is only one reason that I sent it." As the fight starts, Bomi prays for Hoban not to lose. Now it's time to tear each other apart as their friends show concern about Hoban. Taehun changes, saying there is no need. "I've taken him on before, so I know a thing or two about him." The truth is, he's actually a really nice guy deep down. As the fight starts, Munsong throws a punch, but he is unable to dodge it. Logan thinks that Hoban has become stronger. "There's no way a guy as nice as you could hit a friend," he says. "Let's keep going," Taehun adds. "I knew this would happen. This fight is meaningless because they don't hold a grudge against each other, and they aren't angry. How are they supposed to go hard? Then, how is this a fight? It's just two softies wasting their time. This must be pretty hard to watch." Speaking of Logan, he was originally a street fighter whose style of fighting was a noble pursuit, so his extreme reaction makes sense if you know about his past. But these two won't fight the way you want them to. Munsong thinks, "What am I doing right now? Why am I fighting Hoban? Because of Bomi. Will it change anything? Is anything going to change if I win? I can't see it happening. Once again, everything was ruined. The wheel killed my whole family, and my world was drained of all colors. I lived in a monochrome world, a world without reds, blues, or yellows, and I was on my own. I had to move somewhere new, going to my aunt's place. She was a distant relative on my mom's side, and I thought she was a nice person, but then she beat me. In order to survive, I couldn't do anything. She was my only source of light in a world filled with darkness. She was the only source of light in my world and my first love. I've known you for 6 years. I've liked you for 6 years. I could never tell you that I liked you. I was afraid that something as insignificant as my feelings would taint your light. In any case, I knew my feelings for you would not change. I gave it my all. I worked really hard at whatever job I was given. I was on my own once again. But what's the point now? I have to give up. Bomi likes Hoban, and Hoban likes Bomi back. Do I have to give up? Why should I? He punches Hoban and says, "It's not over yet," and thinks, "Should I give up? I liked her first. I like her more than you do. She is my light. She is my reason for living. I am sorry. I am so pathetic." Sh108, he says, "I will give up on Bomi if you win, but in return, you have to give up on her if I win." Logan replies, "Are you finally going to start fighting now? It will be a good experience for you." Learning from street fights will be a huge help in preparing for fighting on the world stage. But more importantly, that little boy's punch was a lucky one. Logan notices, "You're bleeding a lot. If this were a match, the referee would have intervened." But there's nothing you can do about it here, because this is part of the fight. You're saying things you don't mean. I know how you feel right now. I felt like that before, but I cannot give up on this fight. Haben says, it's not just because of Bomi. There's something I need to get by winning this fight, so let's keep going until you can let go of your bitterness and resentment. I cannot block or dodge him. The only thing I can do is escape. He's much stronger than me, even though I've gotten stronger. It's like that time, the first time I fought a professional fighter. This is like the skill gap I felt during that fight. Manji says, I'm impressed. It's not the time to be impressed by his talent. Haben can't even attempt an attack right now. I meant I'm impressed with the boss because he's trying to show something new once again. Look closely at Munseong. More and more blood is flowing from his nose. His line of sight keeps getting blocked. Haben knows this, so he's only moving in Munseong's blind spots when he's dodging. Is it intentional or just a coincidence? What I'm sure about is that Haben is more familiar with street fights than Munseong is. Jihyuk says, that would normally lead to a technical knockout being declared in an MMA match, but that isn't common in a street fight. So he can keep attacking while dodging him like this. If he continues like this, he might be able to beat him. But the opponent is Munseong. He's already figured out what Haben was doing and stepped back into the corner. He's backed himself into a corner, so Haben won't be able to say the same thing again. Munseong is countering his attacks with the kind of strategy that would be used in a match. Haben thinks, I have to use Samdak's new technique. I have to use it somehow, and I'm thankful to Gol that she sent me the final technique from the fighting series. But how could she just send me one file when I told her she definitely couldn't? She should have sent me the whole set. At least she sent me one anyway. The first file is a sneak peek of the final episode. This video makes Samdak seem like more of a fraud than ever before. It's a new technique that I don't even need to practice because it's so simple, just wishful thinking because of how simple it is. But this is the only thing I can rely on. My techniques won't work on Munseong. In order to use the new technique from the sneak peek of the final episode, I will have to approach him from behind. Logan says, that little boy might win by using a choke. But if he does, it will just be him struggling. This was never a fair fight from the beginning. Does he have no chance after all? I should hurry up and stop this fight. Manji says, if he slams him right now, he's going to be permanently disabled. But Haben grabs his eye and says, but I have to protect my neck first. This is the sneak peek of the final episode from the Fighting Technique series. Before I teach you the technique, let me give you a warning. This technique is dangerous. Don't use it unless you're desperate. It may just be a taste of what's to come, but this is on a different level from the techniques I've taught you. This technique works on anyone, regardless of your opponent's gender, age, or skill level. The first technique is clipping your opponent's ear with both hands. This doesn't allow them to hear and disrupts one of their most important senses, their sense of balance. MMA fighters may have superhuman abilities, but they are still just people. No one can fight without their sense of balance. If you don't believe me, you can try hitting your own ears and see how it feels. The second technique from the sneak peek is, as he tries it, it doesn't work, and he's slammed into the ground. He says, I can't feel my hands again. I have to finish him. Logan faces Taehun and says, didn't you take my words seriously? Taehun replies, I am really serious about fighting you. I want to fight that badly. He then asks Logan if he even knows how to fight. Munseong says, I cannot do this anymore. I am so disgusted with myself right now. I did something awful because I am pathetic. He apologizes to Haben, saying, I am really sorry. Logan calls it very boring as Haben is lying on a bed. Logan says, are you awake, little boy? Haben asks, what is going on? What did you do to me? Logan responds, you don't seem to be doing too badly. I brought you here because I knocked you out, you duffer. I thought a regular person would have been hospitalized. I promise you that I will give you the final episode if you beat Munseong. But it's too bad. Forget about the final episode. Haben pleads, please just let me have the final episode. I know I am being shameless, but I have to get my hands on the final episodes. I need power. There are secrets that I need to expose. There is someone I have to take down. Logan says, "Yes, I have to stop kidding around then," and asks little boy, "Do you want to hear my story? It's about when I was young and thought very highly of myself. I was the one who got into the most trouble. Was it you? Were you the rabid dog who attacked our gang?" Logan continues, "I liked fighting. Well, it was more like nothing scared me. We fought to survive and put our lives on the line, driven by the primary instinct to take from others. To me, fighting was my religion, and street fights were where I practiced my beliefs. I was the general who led my troops into battle and the king who had nothing to fear. That was before I met that guy again. He was strong, like it was as if he wasn't even human. I was shocked that someone like him existed. It brought me to my senses. I realized right then and there that although I had considered myself unbeatable, there were people who were stronger than I was. I came to Korea to find him, but it was not easy. I had absolutely nothing to go on. I did find him in the end, though I was shocked at how he had changed. He told me something had happened, but still, I could not recognize him at a glance. A person who reaches their peak in something will never lose what made them great." As Gale's father appears in front of Haben, he asks about the fighting techniques. He says, "Could it be that someone watched the series? Did you mean to say that despite your small physique, you were able to learn the moves?" So Haben responds, "Master, I just have one favor to ask. Please teach me how to fight for real." Gale's father replies, "Go home. I am not going to teach you, so go home." He adds, "It's because of what happened that time. Gale and I are not like that. I got so excited, but I didn't mean I was excited in that sense. I was just understanding, Master." Gale's father continues, "What are you talking about? It's not because of something petty like that. It seems that Logan did not tell you everything. Nothing will change even if you know. Anyway, just go home. Don't make the same mistake twice." Haben asks, "Because of your daughter, I was rejected. What do you mean by that?" Gale's father responds, "To make service, I do not want to make the same mistake again. Is there someone else you know about the fighting techniques? But none of the videos have ever had any views. Maybe I got on his bad side without realizing it." As someone comes in and slaps him, Haben asks, "Who is she?" The scene shifts to Haben's friends, where he is telling them that he was struck by a woman. Bomi asks, "Are you sure that you were slapped?" Haben then receives a text from 244, and he is shocked. "I don't know when that will be," he thinks, as 244 is not the type to ever text first. Everyone is shocked because 244 is messaging Haben. He says, "There is something we need to discuss. Someone wants to meet." Haben replies, "What would he have done? Let's do this." As Haben arrives at the meeting place, he is about to meet the assemblyman. The assemblyman says, "You sound really nervous. Why don't you lower your voice a little?" Haben responds, "Sorry. You're a high-ranking official, so I came here because Jinho told me he would introduce me to the replacement, only to find a child sitting here." The assemblyman says, "I feel quite upset. I didn't think he would be this." He pours a glass for the assemblyman, but accidentally drops it on him. He laughs and says, "It's okay, you're just a child after all. I thought it would be someone quite imposing, considering who you are replacing, but you're just a kid." He continues, "You're much better than that guy. It's good that you are like this. We should have had someone like you from the beginning." Haben apologizes, saying, "I'm sorry." The assemblyman says, No, you can stop. I'm saying I like you." 244 says, "Good. I need to stay outside for a while because I need to take care of something." Haben replies, "If you need to take care of something, I will be right back, Mr. Assemblyman." Haben thinks about what Mr. Ju would have done and apologizes to the assemblyman, offering to pour another drink if that's okay. The assemblyman says, "Okay," and Haben says, "I just wanted to ask about Songjun." After some time, 244 arrives and says, "I was a little late, wasn't I?" The assemblyman replies, "I thought that some evidence might be left behind, so don't be sorry." 244 says, "I was the one who asked you to take care of it. As requested, I recovered the data from his phone, searched his bank statements and house, and even ran a background check on the people who attended his general. However, I could not find anyone who stood out. He doesn't even have any family. Who are you looking for?" The assemblyman responds, "I'm not sure. My suspicion is based on one thing. For a smart guy like him, he died too easily. He was too direct for someone who tried to prevent people from stepping in or trying to. The assemblyman asks, "Is that why you were suspicious of that kid Haben in the first place?" 244 replies, "Is that true? But there is no way that he would have left behind nothing. A mere child like him must have something else I don't know about." As the conversation ends, 244 returns to the assemblyman's place. Haben says, "You drank a lot. I tried so hard to stop him." The assemblyman responds, "Not at all. The night is still young." 244 says, "You're not even good at drinking. It seems you had a lot of fun with that kid." The assemblyman asks, "What are you talking about?" "We just had a little talk about Songjin." Haben says, "Then I'm thinking of heading back home. I'm going to be somewhere nice." 244 replies, "Have a good night." The assemblyman says, "I am curious about what you talked about. Can you open your bag?"